Hello again. Today we will talk about how to preview files in NebulaMan. So there are concepts which are when previewing files, which are very similar or the same as concepts when rendering files. So we will learn a lot of important stuff today. Okay. Here we have NebulaMan. As you can see, there is already one file loaded here, so we can see its waveform. Let me emphasize that this waveform is not really here for some detailed observations. It is more like cosmetical stuff and for getting an overview of the file. So how to load a file to preview into NebulaMan? You can see here there's a button here, and if you click on this button, open dialog will appear, and we can select file here. So we can select the WAV files, AEFF, and FLAC. Let's select this one. And you can see new file is, waveform of the new file is displayed here. Unfortunately, we cannot zoom waveform in and out, but we can set default zoom in manually in settings file. As I said, this is pure cosmetical stuff, so it's not really important. Okay, we have file here. Now here in the toolbar we can see a lot of controls which are related to preview, and of course this is the go to beginning of the file, start preview, play, pause preview, stop preview, and repeat loop. We have here also two markers, left and right, which can be set or reset. And we have let's try this one for a beginning, for a start. So there is a white line as well, black line. If you click on waveform, it jumps to the this sets current position of the file. So let's play file. Okay, it's pretty loud. So here, let's stop it. Sorry, I will stop it. Here you can see the volume slider. So we will turn it down a bit, and we will reset markers, locators to default values. So left locator is at the beginning and the right is at the end of the file. So let's play it again. Okay, this sounds reasonable. So we have here also slider for setting location in different way. So this is really usual stuff which can be found in any program. So this is it. Okay, so we can jump at the beginning, we can play, we can pause, we can stop, and we can turn loop on off. So if you want to loop specific part of the other file, we can just click on the time value of the left locator, and we can click on the time value of the right locator, and if we have repeat preview turned on, things will loop. This is something not really special, I guess. Okay, now comes more interesting stuff. Maybe this is the preview bypass preview processing. So if we are listening to our audio file using some presets, Nebula presets or plugins, this will disable it. So it is a global bypass. Now here is the, by default, NebulaMan is clipping, is a limiting output. So we can disable this limiting if, but I don't recommend it because this is a safety measure to not to blow your speakers in the worst case. Now these are next things are the actual things which we will find also later when rendering. It is good to know what is the meaning of them. So NebulaMan is capable of normalization during playback and rendering. So we have a few useful normalizations. These are volume normalizations. They are useful because using these you can set input level to Nebula or Nebula compatible plugins, etc. You can set proper input level. So one of the most popular normalizations is peak RMS normalization, and there is its value. So NebulaMan will calculate RMS of your file and find the peaks of RMS peaks, and it will adapt file so the highest peak RMS files peaks will not go over -18 dB. So this is a recommended value for starting value for getting your proper input to Nebula. Okay, next we have this normalization is useful for most of the musical material, and then we have here true peak normalization, which is more appropriate for high transient material like drums, and it's not using RMS, but it's using peak values. So if you have a drum track and you can set -6 dB for its peak value, file will be normalized to that value. It is important that you understand that this normalization when previewing is not destructive, of course. You can also disable normalization, but I prefer to have peak RMS normalization at -18 dB engaged all the time. Here is another option, only while processing, which means that NebulaMan will normalize your input, then it will process it, and then at the end it will try to compensate that volume loss which was caused by normalization. But this could be tricky because actual processing, Nebula processing, could change the volume of the file. So if, for example, RMS normalization would attenuate for 6 dB, and then at the end it would try to compensate 6 dB, but if file would be louder because of processing, there could be a clipping. So maybe I will get into this later more, but for now I hope you understand what's the point. So usually only while processing option is not needed. Okay, these are the main options and controls related to preview. So let's reset our locators and start to play and go to beginning and let's listen to the song a bit.